when was the start of your choral journey?
Oh, my choral journey started in grade school. In fact, in grade three, I was one of maybe I was one of 20 singers or thereabouts that were chosen during the time of Flora Zarco Rivera. I was in UP Elementary School. Okay, Flora Zarco Rivera at that time just came home from the United States, having studied with the Westminster Choral College or Choir College under John Finley Williamson. He was at that time very well known as a choral pedagogue, and itong si Flora Zarco Rivera was one of the scholars sent by the Protestant Church to study in America. No? So when she came back, became interested in starting a choral program for children kasi marami ng choirs for adults, church choirs, post university choirs, mga ganyan. So she really wanted a real honest to goodness children's program. So I was grade 3 at that time. So I was one of those who were chosen. Kasi nga, laking simbahan, I could read notes. I was interested in vocal music. What I didn't know was that Ryan Cayabia was also part of that choir. Much later on na lang namin nalaman na we were in the same choir together. So
But was he there first?
he was there first. He's older than me by about 8 months. So siguro grade 4 siya nun, or grade 3 siya nun, grade 2 ako, something ganun. So that was the start of my choral journey. And then I've been in choirs ever since. Church choir especially. After grade school, I was a member of the Grace Bible Church Choir in Agtahan. And then I led my own choir na when I went to Philippine Science High School. And at that time, we young budding scientists also wanted to have some musical activity. So we were encouraged to form our own choir. So parang ako yung nag-lead ng aming year level choir. Yun, tuloy-tuloy yun until I joined the UP Concert Chorus in UP. And then Ateneo, I handled Ateneo College Glee Club. And then I was a math major in college at UP. And then I taught mathematics at Ateneo. And then it was then after that I decided I don't think mathematics is for me. I was encouraged by Ray Pagio, who was my professor at UP. Sabi niya, Joel, you belong in music. Specifically, I think you're a conductor. Yeah, I studied conducting, my bachelor, my music, and my master's, and then my doctorate was in Michigan State.
You are known to be an expert in church music, and you're so focused on church music. You have a huge interest in church music. Why is that?
Well, first of all, I grew up as a member of a church choir. So siguro that's deeply embedded in me. My mother and father also met in the church choir. And by way of practice in the church choir, I had formed a very deep love for sacred music. My uncles and my aunts all love to sing in the church choir. So by way of affinity, it's like a learned muscle, a brain muscle, so to speak, to be involved in sacred music. And then I professed faith as a Christian when I was 13. And that carried through my love for, spiritual things, and finding a spiritual center provided me a way to have guidance in my life. No, I went through the secular field, public university. I won the national championship in singing. I had composed Suerte Suerte Lang, and several other pop songs sung by Basil Valdez. But I felt it was not for me as a songwriter in the public sphere. I felt still rooted in the church choir tradition. So I went to my doctoral studies in the United States, doing well in the public arena as a conductor. But ang deep love ko talaga is yung sacred music. So, yan. I felt I was more centered as a person of faith because of sacred music. And I like, not only do I like theologizing, I love sacred poetry. You know, when I look at the sacred texts, ay nako, it really moves me very deeply like no other. Like the poetry of Gerald Manley Hopkins, you know, he's a Jesuit poet. The poetry of E. E. Cummings, no? I thank thee, God, for this most amazing day. And many other, oh yes, and many other hymns, no, that are written so beautifully and so profoundly, and even you might even say poetry that is not specifically sacred, but speaks about a depth of spirit, of soul, appreciation of beauty. That really strikes me very deeply. Yun ang pagkatao ko kasi. Nung bata ako, I think I was 8 years old going into 90. Parang I was always very much of an overthinker when it came to life.
I heard this story before, a long time ago, that you composed "The Lord Is My Shepherd," and I don't know if it is true, but I heard this story from people that when you composed that song, it took you a short time because it felt like they said that you were inspired somewhat. So can you like confirm the one, and can you tell us briefly how it went through or how it happened?
I think this was in the mid 80s. I don't know if it's 1985 or 1986, but I was then handling the central bank Choral, the one based in the minting office at Rojas Boulevard. No? Their rehearsal begins at 5:30, and so my last class at UP at that time was until 3 o'clock. So I had to commute. I had to drive all the way from UP to Rojas Boulevard. It was one of those freak days that traffic was very light. So dating ko sa dun sa auditorium where we would rehearse, maaga. So I think that was about 4:30. So I had about an hour. So I was practicing the pieces that I would be teaching at 5:30. No? And then all of a sudden something, I was just playing through a piece. And I felt para akong sinaniban. Parang feeling ko, what are you saying, Lord? For me, my favorite psalm talaga is, as many people, is Psalm 23. Ta ti ta ta ti ti. So I developed ti ra ti ra. So parang introduction yun. Parang I felt it was sort of a sweeping motion, and I could see mga it's a cinematic scene. So tuloy-tuloy, tuloy-tuloy. So I completed the melody in maybe 20 minutes, and then ano na, originally it was for all female and I wrote this all down in the last page of my SSAATTBB version, yung a cappella. There's a small composer's note at the end saying how the whole process began and ended. So that was one of the most epiphanous moments of my composing life. Yeah, it's just, for me, it's out of grace, and gratitude that somehow the Spirit lent itself to this person, me. No, I feel parang it wasn't mine at all. Parang I was just an instrument to be used for that.